The Game by Humongous. Quote, each day we wake up in the same room and follow the same path, to live the same day as yesterday. Yet, at one time, each day was a new adventure. Along the way, something changed. Before, our days were timeless. Now our days are scheduled. Is this what it means to be grown up? To be free? But are we really free? We discover the world through a textbook. For years we sit and regurgitate what we're told, tested and graded, like subjects in a lab. Raised not to make a difference in this world, raised to be no different. Smart enough to do our job, but not to question why we do it. So we work and work, left with no time to live the life we work for, until a day comes when we are too old to do our job. It is here we're left to die. Our children take our place in the game. To us, our path is unique, but together we are nothing more than fuel. The fuel that powers the elite who hide behind the logos of corporations. This is their world, and their most valuable resource is not in the ground. It is us. We build their cities. We run their machines. We fight their wars. Money is simply the tool they use to control us. Worthless pieces of paper. When will we realize money can't be eaten? That it has no value? Unquote. Spencer Cathcart, The Lie We Live. Of course you don't want to see the truth. Doing so would undermine everything you've been told, all you've enslaved yourself for, once you pretend you actually own a house, car, acreage, whatever. Nobody owns anything. As you watch the bank or the government, same thing, steal your home from you if you don't pay them their blood money. But the banks don't own anything either. Long after they're gone, that land they pretended was theirs will still be here, property of nobody. What you perceive as ownership is thus an illusion created by those who long to control you. If your legs were blown off, quote, defending this country, unquote, which is nothing more than an imaginary territory encompassed by fake borders nobody can see from above the earth, you have no choice but to pretend you believe the lies. You've lost half your limbs, for fuck's sake. At that point, you've got to swallow the blatantly obvious fabrications with which you've been brainwashed. If you don't, you'll go insane. Such stated, you already are insane if you believe in nations, regions that don't exist when you fly over this planet. Jesus, some cartoon character with not a shred of proof to validate he ever existed. Money, worthless pieces of paper you can neither drink, eat, nor inhale in order to survive, yet you continue to kill yourself for every day of your existence. Yeah, the truth sucks, but only if you allow it to. Realize we, as a species, have the power on this planet, not those who've hijacked our race and held it for ransom. There are at most 1 million of them, while there are 7 billion of us. An altercation between those two factions wouldn't even rate as, quote, no contest, unquote. We would obliterate them before the battle began. Instead, though, we remain docile, enslaved, and eager to die, lying to ourselves there's nothing we can do to stop them. Even worse, pretending they don't exist. Quote, they gave us money, and in return, we gave them the world. Over 1 billion people are starving despite us having enough food for everybody. Where does it all go? 70% of the grain we grow is fed to the animals you eat for dinner. Why help the starving? You can't profit off them. Unquote. Spencer Cathcart, The Lie We Live. We remain complacent to the fact we're being slaughtered. By voting, engaging in quote-unquote politics, and adhering to, quote, their rules, unquote, we knowingly perpetuate this system that's annihilating us. Hence, we've become suicidal. Quote, every year, thousands of species go extinct and time is running out before we're next. If you live in America, there's a 41% chance you'll get cancer. Heart disease will kill 1 out of 3 Americans. We take prescription drugs to deal with these problems, but medical care is the 3rd leading cause of death behind cancer and heart disease. We're told everything can be solved by throwing money at scientists so they can discover a pill to make our problems go away. But the drug companies and cancer societies rely on our suffering to make a profit. Unquote. Spencer Cathcart, The Lie We Live. Doctors have an inalienable interest in not only keeping you sick, but making you so. If everybody was healthy, physicians would be out of work, enslavement, and thereby unable to stock their bank accounts. Creepy fucking system, huh? Well, by acknowledging the obvious truth, you've already won half the war. Quote, we act as if we're all-knowing beings, yet there's much we fail to see. Perhaps we fear we're not alone, that we're part of a much bigger picture, but we fail to make the connection. One day, the sensation we call life will leave us. Our bodies will rot, our valuables recollected. We live in a world on the verge of collapse. The wars of tomorrow will have no winners, for violence will never be the answer. It will destroy every possible solution. If we all look at our innermost desire, we will see our dreams are not so different. We share a common goal, happiness. We tear the world apart looking for joy without ever looking within ourselves. We've become disconnected, idolizing people we've never met. We witness the extraordinary on screens, but ordinary everywhere else. We wait for someone to bring change without ever thinking of changing ourselves. Presidential elections might as well be a coin toss. It's 2 sides of the same coin. We choose which face we want, and the illusion of choice, of change, is created. But the world remains the same. We fail to realize the politicians don't serve us, they serve those who funded them into power. We need leaders, not politicians, but in this world of followers, we've forgotten to lead ourselves. Stop waiting for change and be the change you want to see. We didn't get to this point by sitting on our asses. The human race survived not because we are the fastest or the strongest, but because we work together. We have mastered the act of killing. Now let's master the joy of living. Unquote. Spencer Cathcart, The Lie We Live. Freedom has nothing to do with the lies with which the government deluges your brain. Take your, quote, land of the free, unquote, and fuck off. Do you think those who are homeless feel free? How about those who are forced to enslave themselves for literal lifetimes at quote-unquote occupations they abhor, just to keep a meager roof over their heads? Do you honestly believe people find freedom in constantly worrying about paying their bills, lest the government swoop down and take everything they have? Tell me how fucking free you feel every April 15th when the bureaucracy steals a massive portion of what you've enslaved yourself for. If you're continually being punched in the face by the playground bully, and he continually informs you he's not hitting you, do you lay down and take such abuse? Of course not. Then why do you allow the government, nothing more than that playground bully, to continue to beat the shit out of you? Well, freedom isn't free. You ignorant motherfucker. You haven't even thought about your retarded retort before blurting out the government rhetoric you're indoctrinated with. The root of the word freedom is to be free, correct? Hence, your assertion not only doesn't make sense, it's so insanely stupid, a 5-year-old would realize you're delusional. Since quote-unquote freedom, as you described it, isn't free, that isn't freedom. It's impossible for it to be. Hence, quote-unquote freedom that can't be free isn't freedom at all. It can only be anything but freedom. You don't feel free because you aren't free. Politicians will tell you otherwise, so you continue to feed money into their bank accounts and thereby bequeath them power. Those at the helm of your organized religion will promise you eternal quote-unquote freedom under their reign for the same reasons. The only way you can be free is if you're self-autonomous or able to govern yourself. That's freedom. Anything else is something different. Quote, "We can either continue to serve this system of destruction until no memory of our existence remains, or we can wake up, realize we aren't evolving upwards, but rather falling down. This present moment is what every step, every breath, and every death has led to. You can choose to carve your own path, or follow the road countless others have already taken. Life is not a movie. The script isn't already written. We are the writers." Unquote. Spencer Cathcart, The Lie We Live.